she became a Hazlet, right? And now I have family all over the world. I mean, some of my family came from Greece and Germany, and there was family there, and I have family in Ohio and, Oklahoma and Colorado. They're all extensions of the global family of the Hazlet family, right? But then there's a local expression of that family here in Minnesota, in our family, in our house. And I kind of want to talk about the importance of that local expression, the importance of what we're doing here on a Sunday, the importance of we're meeting together as the church, and it's a family. So go to 1 Corinthians. And today, I just want to almost just share my heart with you, a pastor's heart for where we are, what we're doing, why we're kind of doing what we're doing. I just kind of want to share some thoughts with you and share my heart with you a little bit. Is that all right? All right. Some people are more excited about it than others. That's all right. No, 1 Corinthians. That's right. 1 Peter is a good passage too. We'll go to 1 Corinthians chapter 3. We're going to kind of go through this, and then we'll get back to the chairs thing in a bit. I'll need my phone up here. I'll give you a moment. Everybody there? 1 Corinthians 3. We're going to start just on verse 1. Got my caribou water. We ready? Ready to take this plane off? All right. 1 Corinthians 3. But I, brothers, this is Paul. And I just want to stop there. He said brothers. He's talking to family. In the Greek context, it's clear the way they talked, it's brothers, but it means brothers and sisters. He's not just excluding women and saying men. He's saying brothers. It's like this brotherly family of humankind, men and women, brothers and sisters in Christ. They're brothers. And I just want you to get today that if you've made Jesus your Lord, if you're following him, you are in the family of God. You are a brother and sister. You are brothers and sisters. And you have brothers and sisters all over the world who call themselves the church, but we in this house are brothers and sisters who live together, eat together, fight together. Brothers and sisters fight sometimes, but we're brothers and we're sisters. So he says, but I, brothers, could not address you as spiritual people, but as people of the flesh, as infants in Christ. I fed you with milk, not solid food, for you were not ready for it. And even now you're not yet ready, for you are still of the flesh. For while there is jealousy and strife among you, are you not of the flesh and behaving only in a human way? For when one says, I follow Paul, another, I follow Apollos, are you not being merely human? What then is Apollos? What is Paul? Servants through whom you believed, as the Lord assigned to each. I planted, Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. So neither he who plants or he who waters is anything, but only God who gives the growth. He who plants and he who waters are one, and each will receive wages according to his labor. For we are God's fellow workers. You are God's field, God's building. Say God's building. According to the grace of God given to me, like a skilled master builder, I laid the foundation, and someone else is building upon it. Let each one take care how he builds upon it, for no one can lay a foundation other than that which is laid, which is Jesus Christ. Say a big amen to that one. Now, if anyone builds on the foundations with gold, silver, precious stones, wood, hay, and straw, each one's work will become manifest, for the day will disclose it, because it will be revealed by fire, and the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. If the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, he will receive a reward. If anyone's work is burned up, he will suffer loss, though he himself will be saved, but only through fire. Listen to this, verse 16. Do you not know that you are God's temple, and that God's Spirit dwells in you? If anyone destroys the temple, God will destroy him, for God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. Let's stop there, and I want to kind of go into that a little more, but I want to start there at the end on verse 16. You're God's temple, and you're God's building, and God's building something significant on this earth. You know, in Colossians, let's just go there real quick. Colossians, keep your finger on 1 Corinthians. Colossians chapter 1. Start on verse 15. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15. I hear pages turning, so I'll wait a minute. Colossians, it's between Genesis and Revelation if you're lost. Colossians chapter 1, verse 15. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For by him all things are created in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him, and he is before all things, and in him all things hold together. He is the head of the body, the church. He's the head. So Jesus is the head of this thing called the church, and Corinthians is saying he's building something on earth. You're his field, you're his building. He's building something special on this earth. And this in Corinthians, he's not referring necessarily to the global church. He's referring to the local church. Listen to this commentary on this. Uh-oh, my tablet's not starting. Just kidding. Grant might need to buy me an iPad because my Samsung isn't working. I don't know. Something's wrong there. But I'll just summarize. So this commentary I was reading in multiple ones. So when I'm preparing this message, I'm reading multiple study Bibles. I'm reading multiple commentaries to get ready. And these commentaries are saying, this verse specifically is talking about the local expression of God on earth. It's like I said, there are Hazlett family all over, but there's a local expression of that family here. See, and I want you guys to understand something. When my family leaves the house is not the family. Okay, that's why I don't like to say, hey, welcome to church. I like to say, welcome to the house. You are the church. We are the family called the church of Christians, and when we leave this building, it's no longer the church, it's just a building. Does that make sense? See, when we moved from London to Minnesota, we don't have a family in London anymore. The house we lived in isn't the Hazlett family. It's just walls. And we moved here, and we're the local expression now. And so here's what happens. When we move into a place, when my family moved here to Minnesota, we started bringing our values, our attitudes, our experiences, the expression of who we are, we started bringing to that home and the community. When we go out, we're bringing that attitude, that culture, that family out into the people around us, out into the supermarkets. And when people come visit us at our house, they're coming to experience the Hazlett family. They're not coming to experience four walls. They're coming to experience us, which is our culture, it's our values, it's our attitudes, it's our behaviors. They're experiencing the Hazlett family. Does that make sense? See, and we create these values in our home that we want people to express, and we want people to feel loved, and we want people to feel empowered, and we want to inspire people. And when they come over, when they feel that, they're feeling the culture that we're building. Does that make sense? And so I want us to know today we are the church, and God is building the church, and he's building the church so that in Colossians, it says his manifold wisdom can go out, and so that people can be loved and impacted. Yeah, there's a big global church called the church family all across the globe. But God set up a house right here. He set up a local expression of him here. See, he has filled us. And I love this in Corinthians. Listen again. He says in verse 16, do you not know that you are God's temple? And in that verse, temple, it's not this general thing like, yeah, you're a temple. He's talking about, if I could read you the thing I have there from the commentary, he's talking about the inner temple of God. So wait, let me see that again. Wait, we're God's people. Don't you know that you're God's temple? When you come together, where two or three are gathered, there he will be. And in some translations of this say he says, do you not know that you're God's temple? That God's Spirit dwells in you. And a lot of translations actually say, don't you know that God's Spirit is in your midst? See, where two or three gather, there he is. See, so when we come together on a Sunday, it's more than just gathering together. It's like we're literally being a temple, and God's Spirit dwells in us, and people can come in to the presence of God because we're here meeting. You see, and that's what's important. We need to understand something because we need to be a family expecting guests. We've got to be a family expecting guests. And that's why I have 3 chairs, because I really believe the church should be made up of 3 kinds of people. And you see it in this verse. You see Paul and Apollos. They're chair number 1. They're sold out. Paul's saying, hey, me and Apollos, we were sowing, we were watering, we were serving. There's no doubt about it. Paul and Apollos, sold out, full on, full court followers of Christ, unashamedly Christians, passionate about God. They are sold out to the gospel. They're sold out to building the church. But then there's this other group where Paul's saying, look, I would love to talk to you guys about more, but you're as people of the flesh, infants in Christ. In other words, they're immature. There's Paul and Apollos. They are full court followers of Christ. They are passionate about God. They know God. They walk in the power of the Holy Spirit. But then there's this group where they're honestly a bit immature. Paul would love to get them involved. Paul would love to feed them more. He would love to build them more, but they're kind of stuck in this in-between phases, infant/immature stage. But then there's this other group. Like I said, we want to be a church having guests come. This chair, number 3, represents the unsaved world around us. And you know, when you have people over, do you get ready? When you have somebody come over to your house, do you prepare? Or do you just let them come? See, Alea's family, they're like masters at preparing. They're a family on a mission. Her family, unbelievable. Her mom, Grant Merceau have come over. It's like nothing short of the red carpet being laid out. They're awesome. Like, her mom just busies around for days. Like, when we come for Christmas, there's like 1,000 cookies. Every cookie you could imagine, she's made it. And I am sick by the end. And it's glorious. But her mom, her dad, they just have this heart to serve. And they're a family who's expecting guests. And they do so much to get ready. They prepare the food. They prepare great food. They bring people over. I can't even tell you how many times we've had a Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner and there's people in the house that we don't even know. Like, Merry Christmas, family, and you, sir, whoever you are, don't know. But they just do. They expect guests. The house, before someone comes, the house is clean, right? You clean the house, you prepare great food. See, I want us to understand something about our church. And in fact, I want us to know this. Our church is not about feeding these people. These people are sold out. These people are God. If you slapped a word on them, it's committed. All that we've been preaching about commitment, they're it. They're coming on board. They're being committed. I'm not focused on feeding them. They can feed themselves. Adults can feed themselves. Am I right? I'm not focused on feeding you. If I have to feed you, you're not in this chair. I learned a long time ago. I started growing in faith. I became a Christian at 15, and I just started, going to church, and every Sunday it was like, wow, this is amazing. I remember going to Alea and being like, do you know what rainbows are for? It's a God created rainbows, and it means his covenant. She's like, yeah, I knew that. It's like mind-blowing. Like, seriously, I did. And it's just all this stuff's like, whoa, blowing my mind. But I remember when it started changing. And having this wrestling, I started going, I'm just not being fed in church anymore. And at this time, I was actually, a few years of it in London, I was at Hillsong Church. Phenomenal church, phenomenal preachers. But I realized, wait a minute. I'm in this, I'm not coming to church to be fed. That's not why I'm coming to church. I'm a mature follower of Christ. No, I'm coming to feed others. I'm coming here to serve. And I want to tell you, we're a church that's going to be aware of this chair. We're going to be aware of the chair. Say, aware of the chair. See, we're going to be aware of these people. When these people come in, and we don't have a lot of them yet, but I'm telling you, we're gonna. We're going to be a church on a mission to reach people who don't know God, to reach people who don't care about him right now, they don't care. We're reaching these people. I want to reach these people. I want to go to the U of M, and I want to reach these people who think they're agnostic or mad at God or mad at the church and don't know anything about God, and they need to come here, and we need to invite them in here. But what we got to do is realize that as mature followers of Christ, there's some things we need to cater that way, or they're just going to leave, and we'll never reach them. You see, I'm in real estate. I'm a real estate agent. That's my day job. And I could talk over your heads real estate all day long. You'd have no idea what I'm talking about. Like, well, your home went into a short sale, and you could do a wraparound mortgage on that. Or, I don't know what the amortized interest rates are right now. But, you could talk. I could sell these things. You guys are like, what? But you guys, you got to understand, if we talk in all these deep theological terms, that's what they're thinking. That's why I believe a great communicator is someone who can take a deep truth and make it simple. And that's what I strive to do. That's what we strive to do. I study and prepare our hearts out, but then we have to make it simple so these people can understand it. Okay, because if like I just said, I saw your faces when I talked about that mortgage stuff. You guys were all like, what is the point of me sounding smarter if you're not getting it? See, but if I said to you, hey, this house is a short sale, and you know what that means? That means that they are falling behind on their payments. And they can't pay their mortgage. And what we can do is work out an agreement with the bank so that they'll accept less on the house than it's worth. Should we do that for your house? All of a sudden, oh, that makes sense. But you see, if I'm not aware of the chair, we can say things, do things, and act in a way that's in our Christian culture that we've grown up with that is so far over these people's heads that they come in and they feel like they're in a foreign land. Have you ever traveled before? Have you ever gone on a mission trip to another country? Have you ever sat in a service in another country? You're like, and like, I love languages, so I'll like try to, study the language beforehand and learn it. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going to pick up. And I pick up like every 30th word. Like, ooh, he said help. I got it. Got it. See, but that's what, if we're not careful, and I don't want to be a church that sits up here and I sound smart because I can say every definition of the Bible and I can say all these things, and these people over here are just going, what did you just say? See, because you guys over here, if you're a mature, full-on follower of Christ, feed yourself. Don't be this chair. This is the second chair. This is the immature chair. Do you know what? Do you know who doesn't feed themselves so much in our house is our babies. They don't really feed themselves, and when they do, they make a mess. A big mess. It's bad. These people, this group of people, it's like last week I was talking about knowing God. Knowing God. These people really know God. They love God. They love him. In the book of Joshua, listen to this, man. I wasn't even going to, it's in there. There's a verse in Joshua. Just take my word on it. You're going to have to study it for yourself. It's in Joshua. I can't pull it up. But Joshua, I believe it's 24 or something. He says, where Joshua says, hey, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, right? That part. Then there's another part in Deuteronomy where it kind of picks up that. And it's interesting. It makes a distinction between Joshua, who saw the works of the Lord, but then it says the next generation heard about the works of the Lord. See the difference? Joshua saw it. He experienced it. What does that mean for you? You're in prayer. You're in the Word. You're going to church. You're digging in deep to God, deep in the Word, deep in faith, deep in the community of God, and you're living this relationship. You're not only hearing God, you're experiencing it, and you're knowing him like I talked about last week. But this group in the middle, it's kind of who I was addressing last week. You've really only heard about God. You're the group of maybe you grew up in church and it's head knowledge, but it's never reached the heart. And I want to reiterate, I'm not against head knowledge. You've got to have some knowledge, but you've got to translate it into your heart. I believe in studying the Bible. I love the Bible. I read it every day of my life. I listen to probably a dozen sermons a week. I read commentaries. I read books every single day. I mean, not one book every day, I wish, but I read every day. I believe in educating yourself. I believe so much in educating yourself. But I don't just believe in doing it for the sake of doing it. I believe that that truth has to transcend into your heart. And these people have done that. But this group, maybe you've grown up in church. You know all the answers. If you ever met someone who grew up in church, they know every answer to every question in the Bible. But they're living far from God because they have the head knowledge that's never transcended into heart knowledge. And unfortunately, these people, if you slapped a label on this, it's committed. If you slap a label on this, it's compromise. You're living in compromise. You know the stuff in your head. You know it, but you're not committed to the house. You're not committed to the word. You're not committed to prayer. You're in, you're out, you're up, you're down. You're saying one thing, but you're living another way. You're saying you believe God, but you're living contrary to his word and contrary to his life. See, in this summer, well, let me just stick with the story about coming over for Christmas to Alea's family. You see, Alea's mom and Alea's dad, when we're up there, me and Alea and the other sisters and all that, they're committed to the family. So what do? They prepare the house, they prepare the food, they go shopping, they go cleaning. But you know what, this chair is like the kids and the teenagers. You know, the teenagers, once in a while, they'll step up and they'll help. But when they don't feel like it, they won't, right? Sometimes if they're in the mood, they'll help clean. Most of the time, they're not going to help clean. Sometimes they'll help serve the food. Most of the time, they're not going to help serve the food. Sometimes they have a good attitude. Sometimes they have a bad attitude. Most of the time, they have a bad attitude. Sometimes they'll be up hanging out with the family. Most of the time, they're down playing video games. You know, they're in, they're out, they're up, they're down. They can't feed themselves all the time good stuff. They're going to get into bad stuff. You got to say, eat your broccoli, kid. No, they're all over. There's compromise in their life. They're not here yet. They're not committed. And if we're not careful, we're like that in this church. You hear the stuff, you come. Can I tell you a difference? This chair doesn't really miss church ever. It's just the way they are. They just go to church. They just tithe. They just serve. It's just who they are. It's just who they are. This chair, church is kind of, if I can go, I'll go. If I'm tired, I won't go. If I give, I'll give. If not, I'm not. If I'll serve, if I feel like it, I will. If I don't feel like it, I won't. Can I tell you, this chair doesn't build the house. This chair doesn't build the house. Do you know who impacts the house when we all have dinner at Alea's family? The ones that impact the house is the committed chair. They're paying the bills. They're preparing the food. But you know what? They prepare the food with the guests in mind. They're preparing the food with the guests in mind. Do you have any allergies? Do you hate any food? Okay, we want to welcome you into our family. We want to welcome you into our family. You see, we want to be a church. And listen, this goes with our mission statement. We want to be a church that saves, revives, and empowers people in their life. So we're never going to be a church where you come on Sunday and it's just going to be this super deep theological talk, because they're not going to get it. But I want to be a church where if you want that, we're going to set up small groups for you. We have a discipleship group right now. If you want to dig into the Word more and go deeper in the Word, we're going to do that with you, but not on a Sunday morning. Because they're not going to get it, and we're a house preparing for guests. Does that make sense? And what we need to do, if we're preparing for guests, is we need to do everything short of rolling out the red carpet. We need to do everything with excellence. We need to prepare our food in a way that tastes good. We need to prepare our food in a way that smells good. We need to do an excellent job on worship, and that's why we do a good job. We want to do a good job of welcoming people, and the tables back there, and every single part of this church. I want us to have in mind the chair over here of the people who are far from God, questioning God, don't know about God, don't care about God, so that when they come in, they realize they've entered a family. They've entered a family. Church, you got to understand, church is not a service to attend. It's a family to belong to. Church is not a service to attend. It's a family to belong to. And what we want to do is welcome people in who don't know God, and then we want to adopt them. We want to adopt them. We want them to come in and we want them to give their lives to Christ, and we're going to bring them along and say, no, don't sit in that chair. Just move on over to this chair. Okay, this chair, honestly, this is a dangerous chair. I got to be honest with you. This is the chair that gets you in trouble. This is the chair. I don't care how much theology you know. I don't care what you've been through. I don't care. This is the dangerous chair. This is the chair that has compromise on it. I just met with a guy this week. I knew him when he was younger. He was on fire for God. He was pretty excited about God, but through his life, he started developing compromise. Then he ended up living with his girlfriend before he was married. They got pregnant. Then they finally married after about 8 years, and he was a Christian. And I said, hey, I haven't met with him 10, 12 years. And I said, how you doing in your faith, man? He said, well, I'm trying to get back into it. Trying to get back into going to church. I thought, you're not getting it, bro. If you're just trying to get back into church, you're just living it as a religion. You can't get back into church. You can't get, it's like if I left my wife, and then I was like, I'm trying to just get back into hanging out with her again. What? It's a relationship. You're not getting it. And this chair is full of religion. It's like a list of do's and don'ts. You probably only come to church because you feel guilty if you don't. You probably only give because you feel guilty. Your life is made up of things in this list of religion, and it's just this list. I want to convince you, if you're in this chair and you just came to church today because you have to, because your mom told you should, because it's what you know you're supposed to do, but you're really compromising in your life. You know you're not living the way you should be living. I want you, if you live in this chair, to repent and turn. And all that head knowledge you might have, I want it to transcend into heart knowledge. And I want you to give your life fully to God, realizing that you're a son and daughter of God, and to start living for him and jump into this chair. And in this chair, I want us to keep committing to doing above and beyond what it takes to reach more people and impact more lives. You see, we are limited by how many we impact depending on how many people are sitting in this chair. Do you realize that? If me and Grant are the only ones sitting in this chair, we only have so much money, so much time, so much gifting and talent that we can do to reach these kind of people. The churches that are changing the world right now, you guys, are churches that have a lot of people in this chair willing to sacrifice, serve, give, pour out their time, pour out their energy, pour out their commitment with an eye towards this chair, saying, how can we reach more people? And I know everybody says they want to reach more people, and I don't want to just be a church that says it. I want to actually do it. I want to actually do it. I want to get over here, and I want to be reaching people in universities who don't know God. I want to be reaching people around who don't know God. But in order to do that, we need more people in this chair who are saying, I'm done living this way. I'm done being kind of in the middle, half and half. If this church is my home, if this is where I go, I don't want to be a teenager. I want to be committed. Because this house is your home. This is the family of God. And you're a part of the family. And I want you to get this, because I don't want you to leave college and leave this church being this person, because a majority of American church is made up of this chair. That's why you have people church shopping. That's why you have people thinking it's all about me. Do you know who cares? Teenagers and kids, it's all about them, isn't it? It's all about them, me. What about me? But I want to do this, Mom, but I want to do that. I want to do it. All about me, all about me. This chair is all about themselves. They are. It's all about what kind of music they want, what kind of teaching they want, what kind of style they want, it's all about them. Right? You see, but that's not the church that's going to change. And I don't want you to leave Bethel and go on to another church just to be another one of these church pew sitter. That you just go. Don't just go. Don't just attend a church. Join a family and contribute. Just join a family. You're not joining a church. You're joining a family. And if you're going to be a part of the family, contribute. Be a contributor to the house. Don't be this. This is the adolescent. This is the teenager. This is the one who's in there, out there, up there, down. But so many people live this way. It's all about their life. And then they go to a service and they're like, oh, I'm just going to come to a service. And then if it's not fitting their needs, they're going to leave. If it's not the style they want, if somebody talked a little rude to them, they're going to leave. See, Alea's family, they adopted me in when I married Alea. I started going to her family dinners when I was about 12 years old. Eating veggie burgers was the first meal I think I ate. They were trying to trick me, but I loved it. I'll eat anything. You see, they welcomed me in. I was this teenager. I was this kid, and I've told some of you I had Slipknot T-shirts on. I had my ear pierced. I had my spiky hair and this attitude. But they welcomed me in, and they treated me like family. They opened the door to me, and they loved on me, and they prayed with me. And then I grew in my faith, and then when I married Alea, I became a part of the family. But some of the people in the family, even though, and I want to tell you, this chair isn't about an age, it's about an attitude. You could have been a Christian for 20 years and have this attitude. See, and there are people in the family who do. They've been in the family a long time, and yet they're not really contributors, to be honest with you. They kind of do their own thing. They don't really help, even though they should. They have the capacity to. They have the finances to. They have the ability to. They just choose not to. And so Alea's family welcomed me in. But what kind of person would I be if every time I got frustrated with them, I left? I'd be, it's family. It's a big family. When we all get together, there's like 22 people in the house together. There's all kinds of people. There's all kinds of stuff going on. But what kind of person would I be if I sat in this chair and I was like, your brother made me mad today. I'm never coming back to your house for dinner. But you guys would think, but it's your family, right? It's your family. Or if I was like, I'm not helping. Yeah, this chair is the easily offended chair. This is the easily offended chair. Oh, I didn't like what he said in that message. I'm not coming back. He's too offensive when he talks. This person, I don't know, I'm just a little offended here. See, because I've seen it over and over. There's people who are so easily offended, and then they leave, and what they're saying is, I don't like this family. I'm going to join another family because they might give me what I want better. They might have all the things that I like. They might do the music better than I want. And you're sitting in this chair, but this chair doesn't care about that. This chair is worried about serving and giving and loving to welcome everybody else in. This chair is worried about themselves. Are my needs met? Is this going the way I want it to? Are they preaching the way I want it to? Am I making the point? I hope so. Loud and clear. Because I don't want to be a church that's all about ourselves. I want to be a church that's all about reaching people. All about this chair. We're aware of the chair. We want to be ready. And I've said this before to our volunteer team, or our ministry partner team. Sorry, Graham. Ministry partner. Not volunteer, ministry partner. The ministry partner team. I've said, look, we don't know who's coming in today. We don't know. It might be somebody who's far from God. And your smile when they walk in can impact their life. It might be somebody who's on the verge of committing suicide. We don't know. We don't know where they're at. It might be somebody, a married couple might come in and they're on the verge of getting a divorce. We don't know. We don't know. But sometimes if we're not careful, we're wrapped up in this chair. And we're just worried about ourselves. We don't go talk to anyone new because it's uncomfortable. We don't really serve because we're a little tired. But see, this chair is thinking about that. Who's coming in today? What do they need? I want to rest. I want to talk to them. I want to serve them. I want to give so they can come in, and I want to see their marriage restored, and I want to see their lives change. And I'm willing to feed myself so we can speak a message into their life that can get them on board and adopt them into the family of God. You see, that's what Jesus did. He said, I talk in parables because you can't understand the other stuff yet. It's in read the Gospels. He says, I talk to you guys in parables. And then he'd go to the disciples and he'd kind of hash it out a little more. But to the general public, he'd talk in these general parables. You see, we're doing a disservice if we're focused on ourselves, just wanting to go deeper ourselves in the Word and not caring about the chair. We need to be aware of the chair. And we need to jump from this seat to this seat. If this church is where you come, you need to just commit and say, I'm going to join. I'm a part of the family, and now I'm going to contribute to the family. I'm going to contribute my resources, contribute my time. Can you imagine how many people we could impact in this chair if every one of us got as committed as Grant was to this church? Can you imagine? But why can't we reach more people? Because we have too many people in this chair. We do. Some of you aren't. We've brought so many of you, and you're getting so committed, and you're getting so excited, and our vision is to empower you to be what God's called you to be. And I love seeing people like Maya step up and lead worship and start doing a great job. We want to keep lifting people to their potential, but we can't do it if you're not over here. If you're not ready to be committed, we can't build you. And if you're here, you're going to live this. And I'm scared for you because this chair is the one that 10 years from now, you're just drifted from God. Because you're just, and I'm telling you, I've talked to so many Christians who, I'm like, they're like in and out of church. They come sometimes, they don't come sometimes. And I don't want that for you because the people I see thriving in their God-given potential in life are the people who just do this chair. Alea and I just do this chair. It doesn't matter where in the world we are. It doesn't matter what season of life we're in. You know, it's a rare time Alea and I miss church. And I'm not talking about, this is the first church I've been a full pastor in. There's been many, 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 many years where I've never been a pastor, but we've always gone to church. There's one time, and can I share this story about London? Well, I have the mic, and I'm saying, yeah, I hope so. I love you, and I hope you forgive me. No. But there was one time, Alea was actually in London. She was struggling with depression a bit. And we're just a church that goes, we're just a family that goes to church. And just a side note, that's why I say things like, we're a clapping church. We're a joyful church. We're a giving church. Because I'm creating our culture, the family that we are. In our church, I'm saying, or our family, I said, we're just a church. Too many different words. We're a family that goes to church. You're on track here. And one day in London, she had been really struggling. We went to Hillsong, London. It was a trek. It was about 45 minutes away from our house to go to church. You know, Alea worked in the cities, and it's the train, like 30 minutes in the train, 15, 20 minutes walking to get to church. And we went almost every single Sunday for the most part, unless there was a sick kid or something. But one Sunday, Alea was just frustrated, and she had been struggling with depression, and she just said to me, Justin, I'm not going to church today. I said, all right, that's fine. I said, Tyron, let's go, bud. We're going to church. It's what we do. What am I doing? I'm setting the precedent. This is who we are. And I've shared this before. We just tithe. It's what we do. It's not a miracle thing where we tithe and we get what we want. It's just a commitment we do. Because we're in this chair. We're committed to the church no matter where we are, where we live. We're committed to the house. I want to challenge you all to commit to the house so that we can reach more people in this chair.
We hope you enjoyed this message from Risen Life. To find more, go to risenlife.net.